Welcome to Wealth Builders. I'm your co-host, Tony Shore, and our host, Anthony Cangemi, is in a very important meeting right now, and we wish he was here. However, he has a special guest, and he may be joining us here in a bit. But I want to get right into it today. I've had an incredible week since we last talked. Anthony has a great topic for us, and he wanted to bring in a very special guest, somebody who's become a dear friend to Anthony and he's worked with for a while, to talk about how to retire with a purpose, or retirement with a purpose. And that's why we need to plan. We're going to talk a bit more about this. But first, I want to introduce our very special guest, and that is Dr. Inder Mehta. And Dr. Mehta, I'm so excited to have you on the show today. This is a huge get. I'm glad Anthony roped you into doing this and talked you into it. Thanks for joining us. And you're in from out of town. We're both sitting here in Anthony's podcast studio and radio studio, high atop an office building in Metairie here in the New Orleans area, but neither you or I are from New Orleans. So let's talk about that a minute. Dr. Mehta, great to see you here today. Tell us about yourself, where you're from, and what you do.
Thank you, Tony, for inviting me and for such a welcome introduction. So I am a physician. I'm actually a surgeon, and I work in Texas. And I started working for my own financial planning for retirement with Anthony Cangemi about 13 years ago.
Okay.
And so that's how long we've been working together, doing different things at different times and adding different, things in our portfolios.
Sure.
And all along, obviously, I've learned a lot about financial planning. So that's where we are.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, good. Well, tell us about what you do now, though. What type of surgeon are you? Where are you at? What do you do for a living? And you've been doing this quite a while.
Yes. Thank you, Tony. I've been fortunate, and I'm honored to be able to do what I do, and I feel blessed that God has given me this opportunity to work as a heart surgeon, and I specialize in kids. Heart surgery, and obviously it can be very stressful at times, and it requires a long training before you can actually get to start to do it.
Yeah.
But I feel blessed and honored to be able to do that.
Well, I mean, saving lives and working with infants and children with heart issues that need heart surgery, I can't even fathom it. I don't think most people could. And I imagine, like you say, that took a lot of schooling. I mean, just in talking to you, I just met you yesterday, and we've been doing some talking. I heard you mention Yale, and then you also studied abroad in England, right?
Yes. So I was fortunate to have gotten through different stages of training, first in surgery, general surgery, then adult heart surgery, then pediatric heart surgery at different institutions. And some of the ones were sort of very good institutions. So it's a culmination of all of that.
Sure.
That, you finally are able to perform and do what you are supposed to do. Yes.
Wow. Well, that is impressive. And I know that you must have a real, no pun intended, a heart for kids. And, I know you have your own family, and you're a family man yourself. So I think that's fascinating. Now, when you've had this long and storied career in this field as a surgeon, as a pediatric surgeon, pediatric heart surgeon, you've seen a lot, you've done a lot. One aspect of that you have to plan for, and you obviously did, is retirement or financial planning. So how did you come about finding Anthony, or figuring out, Why did you think you needed a financial planner or a retirement plan? How did that
Yes.
happen?
Yes. Thank you, Tony, for that question. Uh, I would say that uh, before going into that question, obviously my profession requires, and like many other professions, require you to be very um, uh, patient and working hard for years and years and years, and be very passionate about it.
Yeah.
And but with that also um, comes the issue of not having enough time to take care of your own things in your life, and where one of the issues that comes up is the finance, as to how one should take care of one's own finances. um, and it's funny you said how I got in touch with Anthony. Actually, it was through one of these radio shows that I listened to when I was driving in my car.
That's great.
To be very honest,
Yeah.
and that's how I got intrigued, and I said, okay, let me make a phone call. And I made a phone call to Anthony's office, and he invited me, and that's how it started in
Wow.
2012.
Wow. And so for somebody like yourself who's experienced success in your career and financial success, you then thought it was important to have a professional, just like you're a professional. People want to go to you if their children might need heart surgery. You recognize the need to go to somebody who specializes in financial and retirement planning. Is that right then?
Exactly that, Tony. The issue is that life has become very complex these days, as
Yeah.
we all know, and every area that we touch that touches upon our lives, there are specializations in every aspect of life, and you cannot specialize in everything. And if you are a doctor or a physician or a surgeon or engineer or any other profession, it does not mean that you know enough about finances as well. And so I think it is very important to have like a coach, a mentor, or somebody who has a lot of experience, who has devoted all his life or her life in doing this for other people, to be attached to that person and get some guidance when you are making plans for your own future, for your own retirement, finances.
Yeah, I think that's well put, and it's great that you recognize that. Some people, it takes them longer to get to that point where they realize, hey, I can't do this on my own, or I probably shouldn't. I mean, even you as a surgeon, if you personally needed brain surgery, or your loved one, your spouse needed to have some specialized surgery like brain surgery, you wouldn't try to do it yourself. You would go to an expert that does that, right?
Right. So much so that, Anthony, that not even talking about brain surgery, I wouldn't treat myself or my family or my own family members, even for regular illnesses, to be honest, because there have been so many nuances over the
Oh,
years
yeah.
that a person who is maybe practicing general, medicine, might know much more about what the newer medications are available and newer tests are there, that I may not have to keep up with those things. So I may
Sure.
not be aware. So in other words, one should not minimize the specialization aspect of every field.
Yeah.
And yes.
I think that's a good point. In fact, you alluded to something really important in the financial world, and that is there are so many moving parts, and it's gotten so much more complicated. You really need to have a good team of specialists, like
Right.
like Anthony has at Crescent City. You have your estate planning attorney, your Medicare specialist, healthcare specialist, and insurance specialist, and financial and investment specialists. And then you have somebody who's a fiduciary, whose job it is to look out for your best interests, like Anthony and his team there,
Yes.
that will look at your big picture and look at all of these things and come up with a solid plan. And we're going to get into that here a little bit more. But I appreciate you taking the time to share with us, because I think it's important for our listeners out there. And I know Anthony feels the same way, that they see other people's perspectives and how they look at it and why it's so important. And, whether you work with Anthony or another financial advisor, make sure they're a fiduciary
Yes.
and make sure you're working with one. No matter how much or how little you have,
Yes.
you have to have somebody in your corner, because tax laws, healthcare changes to Medicare, the Social Security changes, the list goes on and on. It isn't like it used to be, where you'd work for 40 plus 50 years for one company, you'd get the gold watch and a pension, and you'd retire with a pension, and that was it. And you'd live a few years and, 3-4 years in retirement. Those days are gone, for better or worse. And now you really have to look at where your money is at. Most people have 401ks. They have no idea what's going on inside them. You need somebody in your corner to manage all of this. And I'm glad you found Anthony. And I think it's important for our listeners and viewers out there to make note of that. Now, where I'm really going to pick your brain here and on the topic, because you have a lot of great thoughts. And this is the main reason why Anthony wanted you on the show today, our host, Anthony Cangemi, and that is to talk about retirement with a purpose, and the three main things you need to look at. And I think we talked about health, wealth, fun. So how do you retire with a purpose and make sure you're hitting all those areas that you need to hit in retirement? And what do you think we mean by retirement with a purpose? What does that mean to you?
Yes. Thank you, Tony, for that question. And before I go into the question, let me go back to what you said, which is so true. You mentioned that those days are pretty much gone, where people used to retire with pension after having worked for 30, 40 years for a company. What has happened, obviously, now is that the onus is on us to do our own financial planning. We have to manage our own money, with 401ks and 403bs and 457bs or whatever.
Yep.
So we are talking about large sums of money that we all may have accumulated over the years. And it is very important to have a financial advisor help you or help guide you as to where those dollars should be placed. Because, like we said, the specialization in each area is so much, and there are so many areas in retirement to cover that one may not even be thinking about those areas. Like you mentioned, Tony, the income generation is important. Obviously, with that, the taxes, how you manage your taxes in retirement, how you're going to invest your remaining assets in the market or not, and how you're going to take care of your health, the healthcare issues, and the long-term care issues, and the legacy issues. So all those issues, I think, commonly not all of us think about it on a regular basis. And I think having an advisor sort of puts things in proper perspective for us, and so that we have covered all these areas in retirement. Now, going to your question about what does a retirement mean, first of all, and then we'll talk a little bit about what I think retiring with purpose means. Well, retirement obviously has changed, as I have learned so much in the last 10 years. I've been working with Anthony and studying a little bit more about on my own, is that retirement definition has changed, especially because there is no pension anymore. And we have to take care of all the issues that we talked about on our own with the help of an advisor, hopefully. Is that people, we are living longer and we are healthier for a longer duration in our life before we are forced to sort of stop working. And most of the people probably think about continuing to work for as long as they can. Uh, and with that, of course, there are pros and cons of that. Uh, so the retirement is looking different today. Uh, in the past, probably retirement meant that one could just stop working and just stay at home, or travel or do some fun things, but nothing more than that. But now, you have worked for 30, 40 years in a profession, you are passionate about it. Giving it up very quickly or suddenly and not pursuing it at all for the rest of your life sometimes is not very palatable.
Right.
And so, what has happened and what has been happening, the trend in the last few years, is that more and more people, I think, are trying to cut down on their hours, or retiring, but going back and doing part time work, doing locum work. Uh, and so, that's one aspect. And one can call it a phased retirement, meaning
Sure.
not retiring cold turkey one day, but gradually cutting down in a phased manner. That's one of the ways. The other is, if even if you stop working, or if you have more time, obviously, in retirement, then what do you do with that time? And one, in my view, um, we need to keep ourselves busy, and obviously we need to have some fun, and we talked about that. One needs to take care of finances. Obviously, once you have taken care of finances, then we need to have some fun in life. And
Yeah.
and for that, that could be different for different people.
Sure.
Travel, watching movies, going out to eat, or watching, shows, or whatever it is. uh, but the next aspect that is also important is to keep some sort of passion in life, and that comes with purpose.
Yes.
The way you have, spent your 30, 40 years doing your profession, whatever it is, and you were so passionate about it, you were sort of engrossed in it every day. You woke up and you knew what you wanted to do that day. When you're retired and you have more time, to yourself, you need to have, I think, some sort of purpose, so that when you wake up in the morning, you know that this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm passionate about. And gradually you can develop more and more passion about that, whatever it is, whether you're helping your family members, some people have religious cause, they get more involved with church or something else, or it is helping some non-for-profit organizations, doing some volunteer work, or helping elderly, helping children, helping sick people, working for a cause like cancer or heart disease or something. Any one of those things, or any other passion you could develop, gives you a sense of purpose, the reason to be alive, you see.
Yes.
And that way you could say that you retire. There's a saying that you retire to something. You just don't retire. You say, I'm retiring to this, something different. And that way it makes you feel better. You enjoy your remaining years of your life a much better, in my view, and be happier. Ultimately, obviously one needs to be happy. And I think those aspects, if we cover ourselves with finances, with fun and purpose, and obviously personal health becomes very, very important to take care of in retirement. As we are aging, our health needs are different, our body starts to deteriorate, and our mental faculties are not the same. So I think there are basically three things that one can talk about. One is taking care of your body, the body health, the mental,
Physical health.
physical health.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that obviously includes nutrition, exercising, not drinking too much, all those things that we all know about, not smoking. And then mental health, which includes, keeping your mind occupied. This is very, very important.
Yeah, and that ties in with purpose. This is a
Purpose.
big one. And I know
Yes.
this is a big area for
Yes.
you, Doctor,
Yes.
because
Yes.
as I get to know you personally, I know
Yes.
you're the type of person who is
Yeah.
going to have
Yes.
something to get up for each morning that will
Exactly.
stimulate your
Yes.
mind. I mean, you've been a person who studied, and everything you come across, you like to study, you like
Yes.
to learn, and it's important to you. And so I don't think you can picture it's going to be, each person is going to struggle with a different area.
Yes.
Your area, I think, is fun. And fun to you, though, is staying mentally stimulated.
Yes.
But also for all of us, that mental stimulation turns itself into longevity and better
Yes.
health, right?
Yes, definitely. And so the third thing I was going to say, which again ties up with purpose as well, is the critical thinking. I mean, all our lives during our productive years, we have been solving problems. So I think in addition to physical health and mental health, there has to be intellectual health.
Sure.
You need to have intellectual stimulation,
Yes.
problem solving every day. And one of the things, like if you are involved with some organization, for example, volunteering or whatever, you are actually also solving problems, because day-to-day issues that come up that you have to resolve is basically problem solving. You're resolving issues, so you're critically thinking as to how to resolve those issues. So I think that ties up with your purpose in life as well, and it obviously it ties up with longevity. You
Sure.
tend to live longer, hopefully,
Yeah.
in good physical health as well, physical and mental health.
Yeah, I use my grandfather as an example. He lived to 101, and a lot of people say, "Oh, that's good genes," but also he was a farmer. He got up at 5 a.m. every day and had a lot of purpose, and he was passionate about what he did. And they asked him at 95, the news media came out, and then again at his 99th birthday, and then at 100 and 101 when he turned 101. And the local TV station newspaper said, "Okay, what's your secret to living this long? You're still driving, you're still active at age 100, 99. He was driving at 99 and 100. He was camping 3 months before he passed. And the doctor said he's one of the only patients I've ever had that actually just died of old age. His organs finally gave out. So it's pretty impressive. But he said, you got to keep going.
Yes.
Don't stop.
Yes.
And he stayed mentally stimulated. And when, he didn't farm anymore, he didn't do a lot of the actual farming himself. He still stayed busy on the farm, and he took up photography, painting, quilting. And he did and woodwork. And so he stayed active on the farm, stayed active with all these hobbies, and did some, he would make quilts and donate them. He would take pictures and he would frame them with black walnut from his own black walnut forest. He'd cut down the trees. He'd plane the boards.
Yes.
He'd finish it. He would make it all by hand from start to finish. And so those types of things really do help your longevity. But you mentioned something like long-term care and healthcare costs. And this is where we get into the financial planning aspect, why it's so important. I have a saying, Dr. Mehta, that the good news is we're living longer.
Mm-hmm.
The bad news is we're living longer.
Yes.
Because if you live longer, you'll need more money in retirement.
Yes.
If you're no longer working or working full time.
Yes.
That's why, number one, you need a financial advisor, a financial professional like Anthony Cangemi and the team at Crescent City, and you'll need a plan in place. And you'll need to make sure that you're working on the health and mental aspect of it, and make sure that's incorporated. Those physical healthcare costs, maybe it's gym membership, Pilates, whatever you do, biking, running, to stay active and stay healthy. But don't just focus. Too many people focus on just one area, just the fun.
Yes.
Like I'm going to golf every day or take a cruise every day. I'm just going to look at the fun of retirement, or I'm just going to look at the relaxation, or I'm just going to look at physical health and I'm going to run marathons.
Yes.
And that's going to, but you also need to make sure you're tackling the other areas.
Yes, definitely.
Your healthcare, looking at tax costs, and looking at mental health and stimulation. Like you said, intellectual health is a big part of it, isn't it?
It has to be comprehensive and sort of a holistic approach. You have to take for your own sake, for your own self, you have to think like that. And yeah, come up with your own purpose. I guess that's the best thing. And one of the things that intrigued me about finance is, and I started learning more about it, because I realized the more I learned, the more I realized that I really didn't know much about it at all. Really.
So you dug into that. That's
Oh,
what impresses me about you. You
yes.
didn't just hand it off to Anthony in Crescent
No,
City, set it
no,
and forget it,
no.
whatever. You got involved. You even got some licensure
Yes.
and went and took the tests
Yes.
and started to learn about finance,
Yes.
so you understood it more. And I think that is so admirable. Most people put off financial planning
Yes.
and avoid it, or
Yes.
retirement planning. But it actually can be fun, and that can be a challenge. And you've kind of
Yes.
looked at that as, as you've been in your career a while now, you have this challenge of, hey, I'm going to learn about financial planning.
Yes, yes,
right?
yes. I mean, I actually used to ask him a lot of questions.
Sure.
I questioned him about everything that he did, and so. But in the process, I learned a lot myself, and I dug through every little detail, and I'm glad I did, because it has taught me quite a bit. But it also makes me aware that this is another profession which is helping elderly people, older
Yes,
people,
it is.
and people that do not have enough knowledge about finances.
Mhm.
And so that could be another purpose, actually.
Sure.
One could
Yeah.
get into, and helping older people manage their finances. So in other words, I think it's very, very important to develop a purpose in life.
Yeah.
So and any purpose that is tied up with helping the society, I think, in my view, makes you feel better about yourself, about who you are as a person. If you give it back to the society, because society allowed you to be who you are. Of course, your own hard work went into it, but there were a lot of things that the universe allowed to make it happen, so that you are where you are.
Yeah.
So now it is your turn to give it back as well.
I think that's
and
great.
and I think in your last whatever number of years, if we can do a little bit of that, I think it makes us feel better.
Oh, I think
Be
that's
happy.
great. And that's a great note to end on. And I know that Anthony is going to want to have you back on the show. And he's going to want to interview you himself as well. And we'll probably have him come in here in a few minutes. But we're going to wrap this portion of the show up. It's been a great show today. And thank you so much, Dr. Mehta. I really appreciate your time and your insight. Everybody needs to retire with purpose. They're going to live longer, be happier and healthier if they do. And part of that is a financial plan. So you need to go to crescentcityretirement.com. That's Crescent City Retirement Group. I believe it's crescentcityretirement.com. And there's a lot of great information there. And I'm just going to check really quick that website address to make sure I'm getting it right. Normally, Anthony gives that. Retirement group. Here we go. We're going to see if that's right, because I want our listeners. Yeah, it's crescentcityretirement.com. Yep,
Yes.
I got it. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much, Dr. Mehta.
Thank
and
you.
Listeners and viewers, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Wealth Builders with our host, Anthony Cangemi, and our special guest today, Dr. Inder Mehta.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, everyone listening.